Welcome to today's session, Maximizing Learning with CK-12. I'm Katie, a member of the CK-12 team.
And I'm Lindsay, also a member of the CK-12 team. We'll be running today's webinar with the help of some very special guests who will be joining us this hour. I think you guys are Zoom pros by now, but you'll remember that our chat window is a place where you guys can introduce yourself, talk about what you're teaching, what you've been working on this summer. Please make sure that you change it from all panelists to say all panelists and attendees. And then the bulk of our presentation today is really an opportunity for you to have a conversation with our executive director and co-founder, Niru Khosla. And then we have 4 or 5 other panelists who are here who are teachers and curriculum developers who are going to answer your questions as well. So as you have questions for specific guests or panelists, please put them in the Q&A. You might even attach a name to it so we know who to ask your question to. So that's the Zoom windows.
So with that, congratulations. For those of you that are completing the Certified Educator Program, you have made it. This is the last session of the summer and the last session you need to attend to be certified. So today we'll be covering the following topics. We will do a recap of the CK-12 Certified Educator Program, including pathways, requirements, what's happened so far, who's been involved, all those fun kind of wrap up this program details. We'll talk about paying it forward and have Niru come on to share her thoughts. And then we'll bring on our special guests. So these guests are kind of from a number of different districts across the country. We'll have Laura, Milt, Brian, and Tracy with us today. And we will wrap up with the final form that you need to fill out in order to request your documentation and your certificate for this program. So with that, let's talk about the pathways. Now, these pathways were really just kind of suggested options for looking at CK-12 in different ways. So maybe if you were working on customizing content and understanding those pieces, you picked the content pathway that included all these parts on Flexbooks, as well as our interactive components. If you then picked the intelligent pathway, that was more focused on our groups and practice features and kind of in our intelligent system that adapted to student learning. Or, since we're all about customizing and personalizing learning, maybe you guys picked the custom pathway that allowed you to mix and match based on your level of experience and what you were interested in doing.
So you know that you have met the program requirements if you have done the following. We ask that you attend 7 live sessions this summer, and we allow you to view one of those sessions on demand. So I'm hoping that most of you, this is your 7th and final session. If it's not, if this is your 6th live session and you're still attending one on demand, that's great, but 7 is the magic number for your sessions. You're also completing the final, you're completing the 7 assignments to go with all of those sessions. The final assignment for this session, Maximizing Learning with CK-12, is the mandatory program documentation form. We will verify the information that you submit on that form. We'll make sure that it's accurate based on our webinar attendance records and your assignment completion, and we will be issuing certification based on that.
So, as we noted, this is our final session of the summer. With that in mind, please plan to complete all of your assignments by a week from today, so by next Thursday, July 27th. This will help us check our records of attendance and all submitted work. And then we will issue your certificates and send out digital PDFs and badges the first week of August. Now, it's been so amazing seeing the response to this program this summer. Even in the last 2 weeks, we've had more and more people sign up, creating a community of over 1,400 participants across more than 70 countries. We truly hope that you will continue to be a part of this community, even as the program wraps up, and continue to ask questions, post your ideas, and share your experiences on our forums, in person with others, and even via social media.
Speaking of social media, you guys have been super active this summer, sharing your experiences, highlighting features of CK-12, and helping us let others know about CK-12. The list of posts just keeps going on, and we encourage you to continue to post in the months and years to come. We always love hearing about new discoveries and ways you are using CK-12 in your classes, so please keep them coming at CK-12 Foundation or hashtag CK-12 Foundation. And then, as we said, our forum, our cafes, are another incredible opportunity to stay connected with this larger community. You can join our main Jumpstart for Educators forum, which I think most of you did throughout this program, or we have these individual state options that we're adding more of all the time, or even our newest cafe that is specifically for homeschoolers. You can ask us and others questions, learn about our newest offerings, and share strategies. We love all the comments and questions we've gotten and look forward to continuing to support you and learn more about your use of CK-12.
So with that, I want to take a chance to introduce our Executive Director and Co-founder, Neera Khosla. She's been a phenomenal leader of this program, as well as CK-12 on a whole, and we're going to have her share her thoughts now.
Thank you so much, Katie and Lindsay. You guys have done a really good, phenomenal job on this program, and it's been a lot of work. I think we all have to thank you for helping everyone get used to this. So thank you. I've seen them work hard, guys, so I can't not acknowledge that. So CK-12 has been a very, very satisfying journey. Last 10 years, we've kind of moved on from just being a flex book. I was going to use the word textbook, but we are a flex book, which is a customizable textbook. And, you know, the idea was to take it almost like a Trojan horse and create a platform where people could create their own required levels and difficulties and required for kids, for children to learn. And that's part of the journey that's been very, very exciting to kind of figure out what is it that really is needed by educators and the students, and then giving people the tools that are needed. When you hear some of the panelists today, you will realize some of the work that's been going on just beyond CK-12, on CK-12. And many of you I know have heard from other panelists who have actually also done, you know, given you a flavor of what they've discovered, what they've experienced on CK-12. So I'm really thrilled to hear so many people come forward to share those thoughts with you. And, you know, there is a lot of work to be done, but we have done a lot of work as well. We moved from a PDF version to now a concept-based learning, so we could actually create something that would help students want to learn. So we believe all students are different. They don't all use the same thing. So one size fits all textbook or even a flex book is not going to work for everyone. So we moved on to create a system or a platform which will help you to create concept-based learning with lots of different ways of learning. And so we have modalities, multiple modalities that can help students, from not just text or videos. We've gone ahead and tried to enrich students so that the students learning, so that they can actually learn from different things so that they don't get stuck on one thing. So if you think about interactive elements, I mean, those were needed for us to get in the moment idea of how the students were doing. Not only how they were doing, but giving that feedback to the student and the teacher is completely important. Think about the time when you and I all went to school. We'd do our homework, we'd do our work at class. It wouldn't be, you know, days or even weeks till we got feedback. And that struggle we had about that answer would just keep on killing us, and we'd never know, and we'd lose that moment of learning. So CK-12 is actually trying very hard to be that place where you can get the feedback immediately, so that it kind of gives you a feeling of what you're doing. You know, we've done a lot of work with the team here. We are a small team of 33 people, but lots of other people who are teachers and domain experts in different topics, subjects, have come together to create a very special place with very special offerings so that you guys can, you know, do what you have to do. Right now, I'm sorry. I see some people are saying that there are no slides. I'm actually just talking to you, and that's been what I want to do, just to take a few minutes and kind of explain to you the philosophy, the reason why we did what we did. So I didn't bring any slides, but I can pull up slides anytime anyone wants. I have lots and lots of slides, but this is my personal moment to connect with people. So what I would love to hear from you anytime is any questions you have about CK-12, or if you have any thoughts, ideas that can help us improve what we're doing to help you out. Appreciate that. So while I'm trying to talk to you, do write any concerns you have. Do write about what you are, you know, experiencing, and what would you like to be able to use the system for. We are offering the system for completely free, and that's been always a very hard thing to tackle for most people. The only feedback or payback, I would say, that we ask is that you share the idea that CK-12 is around with other people. I think the only way we are successful is if we have people using us. That's our currency. So not only that, we'd like you to pay whatever's, you know, pay forward what you're getting from here, so that whenever you create something, make it available for others. Make it so that they don't have to work as hard, but they can help improve these things for you and others for the future. Many people are doing that. You'll hear some of the panelists today who have actually worked very hard and created things so that others can also use those things. We are about math and science, but the tools themselves are conducive to being used to any kind of content, you know, that you are involved with. So I would tell your peers, or tell your, you know, tell your peers and kind of say to them, please, you know, create the content if you don't see it. We can actually, you know, there's nothing stops anyone from creating other subjects on our website. This is the last session, so I wanted to take a few moments to kind of take that opportunity to kind of reach out to you and explain at very high level. I mean, I think Katie and Lindsay have done a great job of making sure everything is passed on to you. So if there are any questions.
Yeah, we have a couple of comments here. One is from Penny that was directed to you, which I think you just said you were open to suggestions and feedback. Says, anytime you can make chunks of content easily available to import into various LMSs. I'm currently using Canvas, which is one of the LMSs that CK-12 does integrate with, saying, doing so, your quality would rise to high usage versus subscriptions to my district. So thank you for your work.
Oh, sorry, I kind of missed the gist. So the question was about chunks that can be used in, can you explain that a little bit to various, so, you know, so let me see if I can answer that our content is already chunked. When you think about concept-based learning, all those concepts are very conducive to being imported into various LMSs. We have very extensive single sign-ons or deep integration with the LMSs that you can actually, you know, like you know, Canvas, and we've got LTI integration. We are with you know, some of the Canvas, LTI, Schoology, Edmodo. Sure that you want to bring in Plex and Sims into the LMSs. I think we are going to be working on that to provide that, kind of provide APIs that you can use in ways that, you know, whichever system we are, whichever LMS we are deeply integrated with, we will give you that ability to do some of this stuff. So I think okay, so
Yeah, I think let me take back over the screen here for a minute. We had some questions coming in that aren't necessarily for Niru, I don't think. So our team's going to continue to answer those. While we were just talking about LMSs, though, I did want to say that I don't know if there's any Schoology users out there. If you guys are going to be at the Schoology Next conference in Chicago next week, but Niru is one of the keynote speakers. So if you're there Monday morning, you can see Niru speak there live. So continue to ask questions. Maybe Niru, we'll have you turn your camera off for now, and I'm gonna seal the screen back. But she's gonna be on interviewing our panelists here shortly. So think of some questions you'd like to ask our executive director, and co-founder. Meanwhile, let me steal this back.
And I'm actually going to jump on and talk about paying it forward. So for this part of the session, we wanted to respond to the many comments and emails that we've received throughout the summer program. For all of you who've been asking how you can say thank you to CK-12 for all the free resources, from Flexbooks to interactives, we want to give you some ideas for how you can pay it forward. As you know, part of CK-12's mission is to allow users to actively create and curate content. Participating in this program and customizing a Flexbook or learning about other resources was just the first step. Your job goes far beyond that. Our hope is that many of you will become champions for the CK-12 Foundation. So what are some ways you can do that? The first is to publish your book. Others have already shared their work through their school pages and the community contributed tab. If you've begun making your own customized Flexbook, let others use the resources you have created. 2, get students using CK-12. Think beyond the book. Textbooks, you know, as one of our users was just noting, they wanted even more. So those are really just one way of learning. Sign up your students for CK-12, or they can create their own accounts and have them try out interactives, download the practice app, and explore concepts. Even after we end today, stay connected. So continue to ask questions, post your ideas, and share your resources in the Jumpstart forum. You can email us at support@ck12.org or post on social media and tell us how you're using CK-12 and any successes you're having. We love sharing tweets and highlighting professionals using CK-12 in the classroom. Share CK-12 with others. Speak with other departments or other districts and share your use of CK-12 and participation in this program. Run a workshop to train your colleagues or volunteer to train others outside your district. And if you're interested in doing this more formally, we'll be talking about this more later in our presentation. Finally, demonstrate what CK-12 can do. So submit a case study of your school, become a research school and track student progress, then share the stats with us to help us show others how CK-12 can improve student learning. So that was a lot of information. The basic idea is for you to stay connected and share your experiences with others and our team here at CK-12.
As Katie just mentioned, we love having champions for CK-12. And for all of you that are doing a full certification program, we'll be inviting you to join us for a session this fall to learn more about options for training others using CK-12, presenting at conferences, sharing your particular experiences with CK-12, and generally helping us spread the word. So if you're interested in this, we do have a box that you can check on our final form that we'll be going over at the end of this session. Okay, so at this time, excuse me, we are going to bring on some guest speakers here. So I wanted to introduce them one by one. Today we have with us, we have Laura Inama. She is the K-12 Supervisor of Science for the Central Bucks School District in Pennsylvania. We also have Milt Hewling, who is the curriculum specialist for elementary science. He is from Polk County Public School District in Florida. We have Brian Macarelli, K-12 science curriculum specialist for Buncombe County Schools in North Carolina. And we have Tracy Polson, who is a chemistry teacher from the Nebo School District in Utah. So 4 people, they are all a little concentrated on science, just the way that it worked out today, but they're big users of CK-12 and can answer any questions you guys might be thinking of as you get ready to go back to your schools and districts and try to implement CK-12. So at this point, if all of you want to turn back on your cameras, and Neera, why don't you turn on your camera too? And we're going to have a conversation. And again, users, we want you to continue to ask questions in Q&A.
This is always very exciting for me to talk to people who are real users of CK-12, and it gives me so much satisfaction. So what I'd like to start with is why CK-12? If you have so much available to you, what drove you to start using CK-12? And I don't think I want to be a teacher, so I'm going to let every one of you just jump in and answer the question. Should I call, or are you going to start?
I'll start on that one.
Okay, great.
I've been using CK-12 now for, I think, 7 years. And my initial interest in that is that the publishers weren't providing resources that I could use effectively in my classroom. They didn't target my state standards well enough. I still had to supplement with a lot of other things. And then I couldn't allow my students to actually use a lot of the literacy strategies and things like that I'd been taught to show them with a book that they couldn't hardly even touch, that they couldn't write in, that they couldn't manipulate, and they couldn't access how I wanted them to. So that's what got me started.
Great.
I can jump in.
Yes.
So what really got us started, I would say, was twofold. One, we were really looking for digital content. So we had, traditional textbooks, but we were looking for more digital content that was more adaptable. And then the biggest thing was really that it was customizable. We really started with it at the middle level. We don't have, a canned curriculum that we use, that we buy from a publisher. We do a lot of it ourselves. And we wanted something that we could customize to fit our needs, because we wanted an integrated program. And particularly as we've looked at updating our curriculum with NGSS, it allows us to really customize it the way that we like, to fit all the standards and teach it in the order we want to teach it and the way we want to teach it. And so that's what we really like.
Okay. Gentlemen?
I'll jump in next. So in Buncombe County Schools, a couple years ago, we were on the precipice of going one-to-one with devices. And that meant from 3rd grade through 12th grade, we were going to have computers in the hands of students throughout the school day. And the other thing that came into play was lack of funding, and that was for the foreseeable future. So funds are drying up to purchase textbooks and other content support. So we decided that this is a perfect time to find something that matches digital text, digital content, that's free. And on top of that, it was flexible, meaning we could customize it to match our standards, which are different from everybody else's standards. Here in North Carolina, we have our own set of standards. So with that, we started with our middle school, like Laura did, and then we moved kind of in each direction. And now we're working pretty hard on elementary to come up with a text that perfectly aligns with our standards. The other thing that's nice about the flexibility is, great, I've got a Buncombe County Schools text or flexbook that's published, but this also allows teachers in one of our middle schools, one of our high schools, to personalize it even further for their school, for their community, for their students. So it's endless possibilities with flexibility, which I think is a great thing.
Milt.
Yes, last but not least, if you hear thunder in the background, a bad storm is going through, so I could disappear in a flash any second. We started, I guess, I don't know, about 6 years ago when I first got this job in the elementary world. When I started, standards has just been adopted in Florida, which were different than the previous standards, quite a bit different. And textbooks were not purchased because of some funding issues. So there we were without resources of any kind with brand new standards. So that's what, kind of brought me to CK-12 and many discussions with Julie and lots of collaboration with you all of rewriting that middle school material you had down to the elementary level, the readability and the structure needed for the lower grades. So we've been using that now for about 6 years. And I just have to share this story. I still think this is funny. My boss, I got a new boss a couple years ago, and she came in and somebody had told her we didn't have textbooks in the elementary grades. So I just kind of chuckled. It's like, we don't? Well, we have an online textbook, and some schools have actually printed it. So I brought the book in and put it on her desk, and she said, well, what is this? I said, this is our textbook. Well, who made it? We made it. Well, how much does this cost? Well, it cost about $3.85 to print, but cost nothing. And she was rather shocked by that.
Oh, Mel, I love these stories, and especially these that really kind of prove the model that we've been trying to build. So I know you all talk about one-to-one, you all talk about lack of funding, you all talk about standards, you all talk about flexibility. Talk about the aha moments when you started, when you first saw CK-12. What were some of the aha moments that came to you as you were, as you were looking at CK-12 or doing things with CK-12, other than oh my God, it's got so much stuff in it? I'm sure there were other aha moments that were really, really valuable. They're more valuable to me, so maybe it's part of me trying to feel good about what we're doing in our team. But I'd love for you to share with the people that are online about some of these aha moments that you discovered.
I can start. Good. Laura, do you want to go first? Okay. For me, there's been several aha moments, and I'll describe them. This has been a new journey for us. It's only been probably 2.5 years that we started with CK-12, and that timing was perfect for us, but I also think the timing was right for CK-12 because all of these new things were being created right when we were in line with growing with CK-12. And what I mean by that is, first it started off with Flexbooks, but then we got pretty comfortable with that. And then pretty soon we started seeing simulations and Plix and interactives pop up. And then we saw more and more modalities start to pop up. And then we saw that you could turn off you could make it an offline reader. So it was just a really responsive platform for us. And that has been fantastic. And we never really voiced any concerns. Others must have. And the problems and challenges were fixed kind of behind the scenes without us even having to do anything. The other aha moment was really when I discovered that Milt had already done like 90% of my work for me. Yes. When I started working on the elementary texts, because translating high school physics and high school biology down into 2nd and 3rd grade is a very difficult task. But since Milt has done it in some form or another in his Flexbooks, it was much easier to start with what he started or start with what he had and further align it to ours. So Milt was an aha moment as well.
Yeah, Milt's been an aha moment for us as well. We are so lucky to have people like Milt. Tracy, Laura, I'm sorry, Milt.
I was just going to say thank you, Brian, but I think that's what Neeru and the team are talking about when they say pay it forward. Yes. I'm hoping people will take, my things that I created and then share it back with me once it's even more improved as they get more time, more eyes on it. You know, how do we do that in a perfect world of let the original creator know that there's some even better versions out there, because that's the one I want to use.
Yes.
But just other kind of aha moments for me. We were doing some trainings, and I had a 4th grade teacher come in, and their school is completely one-to-one. And for whatever reason, her students loved reading CK-12 on their tablets. And they have many, many discipline problems at this school. That is one thing they actually like because they enjoy reading. And I try to build a little bit more into it so it just wasn't just stale content. It was a little bit more lively, built into a little bit more of a story and supporting that the needs of those children. But they actually liked it. It's like, wow, you like reading a textbook? Because how often does that happen? But we could never do that if we didn't have the flexibility to go in and modify the content for our students. Oh, and I do have one more thing here, if I got a moment.
You can have as much as you like.
I had one 5th grade teacher for the last 2 years.
Uh-huh.
Her students would edit the textbook.
Nice.
So they would send me, it's like, oh, there's not a period on the end of this sentence, and I could go in and make it. And they were so proud of themselves. Or if they were answering questions, like there wasn't quite enough for us to really understand that. Could you please add more?
Nice.
That was powerful for them to be able to talk to the district level.
Yes.
And get their textbook in their hands changed.
Yes.
Instantly.
You know, we should make, I think people keep asking about how we see the books that you guys have created. So we should make sure that we make those addresses, URLs made available so people can actually witness what they're saying. Let me just go to the ladies because they haven't kind of taken, you know, they might want to say something. Laura?
Sure, I'll chime in. So I would say we've had kind of 2 aha moments. At first we started with just some individual teachers using CK-12 and then eventually went to a district adoption. And there were some teachers who were a little skeptical about going online the way that CK-12 is. And one of their concerns was special ed, that our special ed students would have trouble reading online. And I would say that was a huge aha moment for us, was to really see the power of CK-12 with our special education students. Because it is so customizable, we found that we were able to modify the books and actually create multiple versions of our books so that students were really able to be successful. And that was really an aha moment, I would say, for our district, because it was a fear that was turned into just this like amazing moment where we realized, wait, it's not bad. It's actually even better than what we had before. Because we can change the book the way that we need to reading levels and so forth. So I would say that was an aha moment. The other one is kind of simple, just the moment when you see a kid interacting with videos in the text. So whereas before traditional textbooks, obviously you don't have videos embedded, or you're going, you know, you're putting down the book, you're getting on the computer, you're doing something totally separate. Seeing the kids just kind of interacting, going through and having that content where they can interact with it through the simulations, they can go onto YouTube and so forth. It just really allows all types of learners to be successful with the text. And so I would say those were probably some of the big ahas for my district, because at first there was some fear in changing modalities, because, you know, most of our teachers were so used to using a traditional textbook. And they really saw the power of CK-12 and that it actually was better than what they were doing before. And I think at first they weren't sure that it was going to be that. So I would say those were our big ahas, really, particularly in the special ed world, and how powerful it could be for that population.
While we're here, Laura, could you just speak about how you were, there's a question asked of you, how you were able to customize the books for SP SPED students? I'm sorry, I don't know what that means.
So
special ed, sorry, okay, sorry.
Yeah, so it sounds like I probably did something similar to what Milt did, where we basically had some of our teachers look at the books and just modify the reading level. So just going through the book that we had already customized for the district, and then making the language more simple and doing different things so that it'll be more readable for students at a lower reading level. And it really is easy to customize the books. So it wasn't that challenging at all, actually. So it was pretty simple to do. And I'm very intrigued to check out what Milt's done, because I would love to bring it down to elementary. We have not done that yet. And so I'm going to be checking out what he's done. But yeah, it was just a matter of going in and just changing some of the wording and so forth to make it bring the reading level down.
Tracy, I know you've been waiting patiently, but I think you guys in Utah did a really special program. So speak of that and bring in your aha moments from some of that experience.
Right. So I've been through the process of creating a textbook now 3 times. The first one was just on my own, and it was a lot of work to really make something that I really loved and that I really wanted to go for. But it was worth it, because I got something that really fit how I taught, and it was really valuable. But it does take more time, and I think that time to really customize it how you want is kind of intimidating for a lot of people. It is easy to just pull one together that is functional, that's going to be as good as just a publisher textbook. But if you really want to make it yours, you do have to put that time in there. So there was that level, and I've got other teachers who have looked at my book and they're like, oh, I want to use this. How much does it cost? And I'm like, go print it, or, here it is. And it's really powerful how many people have contacted me just saying, hey, how do I get this? And it's really nice to be able to say, oh, there you go. I can just give it to you, and you don't have to worry about copyright and things like that. The other
could easily also say CK-12.org, right?
Oh, of course it does. Yeah, I send them there. I just send them a link. And then the other 2 times that I've been involved in writing textbooks is the state science specialist in Utah decided that that was a project that we should do on the whole state level. So a lot of districts, there's very few, how's it going to word that? There's not a lot of whole wide district adoption that I've seen throughout my state. We're very rural, we're very spread out. And so a lot of it happens at the school level. So what we did is we took teachers throughout the whole state, though, and teams of teachers developed textbooks for grades 3 through 12 for all of our science subjects. And then they were just made available for anybody who wanted to use them, and especially a lot of these other rural districts where schools that didn't have a lot of funding really jumped on. And last year, I don't know how many people are using even the digital version, but last year we had 40,000 books printed that teachers were now giving out and using for their students. And I've bumped around the state doing training on how to use these books and how to access CK-12 and use their resources. And I've had so many teachers, especially on the elementary and middle grades, who were just, how did I not know about this before? Because we've never had a book, they've never had a book that targeted their literacy that they need to teach at those grade levels, and that targeted our standards, which, especially in those middle grades and lower grades, are really diverse throughout the whole nation. And you don't find physical science mixed with life science, mixed with earth science books in one collection. And here they had the tool that would give them that, and they have loved that option. And then we went through this rewriting process again when our state started to adopt new science standards based on the NGSS framework. And it's kind of been interesting seeing that process 3 times, and just how we've set it up with the different levels of planning that it took to make that a successful process and to make those successfully embedded. And I'm really proud of especially the last 3 books that we've been able to put together and put up available on the CK-12 site, and more schools are using them digital as we get more and more districts who are moving 1-to-1. It's been an exciting thing to see that 3 different times, 3 different ways kind of evolve.
Thank you. So I see a trend, and I see, in some of the questions that are being asked. And most of the concern seems to be around training, around professional development, about time taken, about, how do you convince, the higher beings to kind of use the content. Could you share some of your thoughts, as you guys were doing that, so that people can understand that these were, I shouldn't say anymore, so maybe, you guys can take over and answer some of these concerns about professional development, training, how much time does it take, and how do you convince everyone to do that? to use those books, the administration or, you know, colleagues. So about quality, I can speak to that later, but I'd like you guys to, you know, talk about these are common threads we've been hearing over and over again. So jump in.
So I'll jump in. I would think that if you're going to adopt any resource, there's probably some degree of training. And so there's nothing about CK-12 that's more complicated than any other type of textbook that you might adopt. So, I mean, our staff has found it pretty user-friendly. Once you understand kind of how to navigate and get around the website, you know, they really don't have any trouble with that. It's been pretty user-friendly. I would also say that our district has not trained everyone on how to customize. So we only have a few teachers who help with customizing and writing the books, but the majority of our teachers just use them. And so the small group that customizes them does that, and then we just share them, you know, publish them, and then we say, here it is, and I make a little web page, and every student's directed to it with all the links to the flex books, you know, so they can get to CK-12 and find what they need. So it's really not complicated, and what you've done with single sign-on and Canvas and things like that, it really is, I think, pretty user-friendly. And our IT department has said wonderful things about how easy it was to get the single sign-on and so forth. So we have not needed a tremendous amount of staff development. We have used your services. Ryan did a webinar once for my faculty and walked them through some of the newer features as they become available. Because back when we first started using it, there was not as much as there is today. But I would not say it's a difficult program to use, and that you also just need to think about what do people really need to know. Not everyone needs to know how to customize it. Not everyone needs to know everything. Once you put it together and roll it out, it's pretty easy to.
I kind of just want to echo what Laura said, where it's really an issue of looking at who needs to actually be able to customize it. And you can leave it open to, hey, there's ways to do that, and there's great help sources and videos on CK-12's website or other people who know how to do it if they really want to customize it. But for a lot of people, they're not going to want to put the time into customizing it. So it just goes back to normal professional development that you would do about how to use it, how to make it an effective tool for instruction. And that's almost all of the professional development that I've done. It has been nice in Utah that at the State Office of Education, they set aside funds for the development of this project on the state level. And part of those funds are to allow districts to request training or schools to request training, and that's when I go to those schools and provide that training for them. And so that's been an awesome resource. And so it's kind of just talking to the right people to provide that resource and then getting it known about. But once again, focus on the important stuff, the teaching stuff, and everybody's going to have to customize it.
Brian or Milt?
And I can jump in and just say we do try to infuse that into all of our PDs. So even if we're doing something on literacy, we'll try to bring that piece in. This is how you would use this chunk of CK-12 text. If we're teaching science, here are some sims that can go along with these lessons, and here's where we suggest that you put them in. And that has worked fairly well, or very well, for our district as far as getting that word out. All you need is a few teachers at one school using it, and you have to bring the teachers along. It can't be just shoved out from the district office. In our case, we had no choice because that was our textbook and that was the only option. But you have to get those teachers on board to actually get them using a digital textbook, or finding ways to make that usable in the classroom, either by just printing small sections that you need, or we actually do what we call digital text coding, where the students use smartboards and we take an image of that, and they go up and mark the text in center activities. Mm-hmm. So there's all kinds of ways to use it. Again, PD.
Brian?
So for our district, we really rolled it out as kind of a grassroots effort. Although I sort of represent the science curriculum for the county, it wasn't a mandate that we use CK-12 or use these flex books or use what we put out. It was really, hey, here's a resource. that we think is pretty cool with what the timing of our district right now. It's gonna really play into your students using their computers. And then, as Milt and others suggested, it's about modeling the strategies that you would use with the text or with the content on CK-12. So every single PD that I do involves CK-12 as the text. It's because I want teachers to see how they can be successful with it. I want them to go, oh, this is a really great resource. I would do it this way, but now they're going to start owning it. So that's what I would suggest. If you're a teacher that wants to see this spread in your district, start talking to your colleagues about what this thing is like, what it can do, package together some lessons that use it, share it with others in your district, and it'll start to take hold, I think. We did have a little bit more of a formal PD structure as well as just kind of the informal modeling. And that was, I established what I called a CK-12 Rockstar for every school in our district. So we have about 44 schools. So I wanted to have someone that the teachers could go to for questions or for help. And those folks got a day-long PD that kind of showed them the ins and outs of how to use CK-12. It really wasn't about the customization. It was really just about, here are the things that you can do with CK-12 in your classroom. And Julie Wise was kind enough to step in and do a phone conference call with us in the afternoon. So she showed us some other kind of behind the scenes parts to CK-12. As far as talking and getting your district folks on board with CK-12, I would be happy to speak with those folks in your district and tell them our story and just talk about how I trust the content. It's almost like Wikipedia. It sort of self-regulates itself, the content. So I trust the content to be good science. Otherwise, my teachers would tell me. But I'm happy to speak with other districts about how this works.
So if I might take a minute to kind of say something about professional development, the way that I think about professional development. Technology tools are very new. And I think, given my own experience with technology, I have a technology family, but I'm not really that technological. But one thing that I do know at the age of 62, I try it. And for me, if you can get confident by using something that you perceive was difficult, you're going to go out there and try more things, because you will have the basis of certain commonalities that are present in all technologies. So CK-12 by itself, being a online resource, really does help you get comfortable with trying to use technology. You know, I want to get teachers over that hurdles, which you guys are all speaking about and doing a great job, you know, on this. Lots of other questions. I mean, I think the questions that I hear about mostly over and over again is, well, how does CK-12 advertise itself? That's been a really hard question to kind of be successful at. And so I would love some ideas from the panelists today. So I'm going to put you on the spot and ask you to do a real quick, short answer to this. Just, you know, how should CK-12 present itself in a marketing effort? I don't care if you're not a marketing person, but love to hear any thoughts you might have as teachers that will create a movement.
I think what you're doing here, Neeru, is the ultimate advertising. Is you're bringing teachers in, like-minded teachers that are doing this work.
Right.
These are the people that are going to spread the word about CK-12.
Right.
And when I go to state science supervisors meeting, I present, you know, on these materials, share everything I have. That word gets out and spreads. So I think once you do it that way, that grassroots, we all own CK-12 in a way.
Right. Thank you.
I think that's important.
Anyone else?
I would probably,
Sorry. Go ahead, Tracy.
Okay, I'll go. I know in Utah that's also something that, once again, the teachers have wondered about. How come I didn't know about this before? And it comes down to we're doing our best. What it's taken in Utah is our state science specialist and our science specialist within the districts, whatever meeting they're at, doing exactly what Milt was just saying, them spending time talking to the other administrators and other leaders there about it. And then also we try to put things about that on our newsletters that we send out from the state office to the teachers throughout the state, whoever signed up on that. And so it's all about word of mouth, and slip it in wherever you can, especially to those movers in the schools, about as far as teachers who are actually trying to make good changes, and to the administrators who make a lot of the big decisions. Those are the people who really need to know about it.
Laura?
I really just agree with what they both said. I think that hearing it from word of mouth and just from teachers talking to teachers is really powerful. I know last year we had some teachers at a state conference, and they came back and said, someone was mentioning CK-12 and how they use it. I'm like, yeah, we're not the only ones who use it. And they were really excited to just hear people talking about it. So I think with teaching, so much of it is, they want to hear from someone who's done it and walked in those shoes and know that it works. And so the grassroots efforts really is very beneficial. As an upper level administrator, I will say they don't always believe me. Like I need to get my teachers to believe it, and then pass it along. It goes a lot further. And so I think that working through teachers is really important.
Sorry, Brian, you have the last word.
My last word is this. I ditto everyone's other sentiments there. There's a beauty to this thing growing organically, and that's how it's grown, and it's been able to kind of keep its feet under it. Sometimes if things get pushed too fast, they can sort of fall apart. So I don't know if there's much that needs to change. It's a little concerning that, if people Google search free online textbooks, things aren't popping up. I would imagine that's covered, but beyond that, word of mouth from teachers is the way to go. The top-down approach is not as successful.
Thank you so much. So I'm told my time is up, but just to kind of not leave an impression that CK-12 doesn't do anything online about being found and is not found as online free textbooks or something like that. We do have a very sophisticated development team, as you can tell from the tools that we create. So they're very knowledgeable about all that. But there are other people who have been in the field and who do have lots of usage, like Khan Academy, and much popular than CK-12, when people go there because they've heard of it. So it's a little bit about a rolling snowball. So if you think about a snowball rolling, it keeps growing. So that's what's happened with Khan's image. And perhaps, CK-12, if we have real passionate people who share. I mean, one of the things that you could really do is to share, your books or something that you come across that's really good on our website. Share it with other people. There's a little plane that's very useful. I'm getting the evil eye, so I really have to stop. Time is getting over. Thank you so much. You've been wonderful, you guys.
Yeah, I guess I'm the one giving her the evil eye. I want to make sure that I walk you guys through your final form, your final assignment. So thank you to our panelists. There were a few more questions floating around. So if you guys are able to stick around for another 5 minutes, or if you need to go. But we're going to see if any more questions come in for any of our panelists. But thank you very much for being here. That was awesome. I'm going to make sure that we get the assignment to everybody, since this is your final assignment for the certification program. So I'm going to take the screen back over here. And here's what you need to know about your final form. What I'm about to walk you through, this is the final form. This is your assignment for this session. This final form is required to become a CK-12 certified educator. You're going to be giving us information, and that's going to tell us what we need to send you for you to be certified. Only complete this form at the end of your summer learning. For most of you, that's right now, you're at the end. If you still have one more session to watch on demand, then complete this form after you've done that. So this is your final assignment, your final form. Only submit this form one time. We're doing a lot of this cross-checking manually, and it really helps us out if you guys can complete this information accurately. So here's what we're going to be asking you to do. I'm going to give you the link here in a second, but we have 15 or 18 questions depending on how you answer some of these. But number one is typing your name exactly as it should appear on any documentation. We are going to print the certificates from these boxes that you guys fill out. So if you want the certificate to have a first, middle, and last name, complete all three. Capitalization is good, spelling correctly is good, exactly as you want it to appear on the documentation. We are pulling it from those boxes. Number two, give us your email address, the primary email address you used for this program. Number three applies to those of you who have said, oops, I logged in with a couple of different email addresses this summer. If you have web attendance and assignments associated with different email addresses, please list that there in the third box. Number four is if you logged into any webinar by phone, please give us your phone number. I think that only applies to very few of you. Number five, you gave us this information when you registered, but it's important information that we would like you to give us again, which is your roles, your subject, your school or district, and your state or country. Number six, this is an important box here. What documentation are you seeking from CK-12? You're going to check the first box if you are fully certified. You want your certified educator status. So we'll give you a certificate of participation for the webinars attended and work completed. We'll give you a badge. You'll receive all that from us. The second box, for those of you who have only attended a few webinars this summer, maybe you didn't do the assignments, maybe you didn't complete 7 live sessions, you're going to check that box. We can send you a certificate documenting the participation for just a couple of webinars. That's awesome. And then if you don't need any documentation from us, check the third box. Okay, so on this one, number 7, you're going to go down this list. We had 11 different sessions this summer, different offerings, different titles. And you're going to tell us if you attended live or if you watched on demand, and if you completed the assignment. So you should have records of all of this, I would think, with your emails, with your registration. You get your assignment sent to you after Google, after you submit the Google form. If you need help with this, we're happy to assist. Just know that we do have to manually dig through all of our records to do this. So any information that you can provide us through your accounts, do your due diligence on your end to find all this information, that would be very helpful. Number 8, about how many hours did it take you to complete this program? Include all our time for webinars and matching assignments. This is where you put in a number and we're able to confirm that based on our records with your attendance and your webinar participation. Number 9, tell us what pathway you completed. If you remember, notice that there's one that says I don't remember or I didn't complete a pathway of 7+ sessions. That's fine too. Just tell us if you remember which one you did. Number 10, are you interested in learning more about being a champion for CK-12? Kind of continuing that conversation that we started today about paying it forward and possibly training other teachers. Let us know if we can send you more information about that. Questions 11 and 12 are pretty straightforward, asking for your feedback on how we did. The content, the moderators, the instructors, the assignments. Remember, this is the first year for this program, so we'd love to get some data on what you thought. And then we've got some fill in the blanks, favorite parts of the program, suggestions for improving, the optional comment box, number 15, any other comments you want to give us. And then wrapping it up at the end, if you want to share a link of any work you completed this summer, maybe you created a Flexbook, we would love to see that. you can put a link to that or any other work in that box. 17, we told you that we're sometimes out and about. We've been, traveling and doing some filming and visiting with different schools. If you'd be willing to have members of the CK-12 team contact you, maybe because we're in your area or maybe because we're curious about how the summer program went, let us know if we can contact you. Yes, no, potentially. I guess potentially, you're still thinking about it. You're on the fence. That's kind of funny. Number 18, we feature comments from educators on our new testimonials page, as you guys have seen. If you're willing to have your comment posted on that page, type it in there, and we're going to add your comment from that box onto our page. So that's your assignment.
So hopefully that explained what we were doing. As Lindsay was noting, this is your final form. You can find it at our last tinyurl.com, CEP17 final. You do need to fill that out if you want documentation to become a CK-12 certified educator. And if you haven't finished some of your other assignments yet, make sure to do those first and then complete this form last. So you have one final version of it, and we're not worried about trying to track multiple forms for you. So this final form should be submitted once. So a couple of questions that we've gotten. When will you receive your digital badge and certificate? We'll do that the first week in August. So please get this done by next Thursday, the 27th, I believe it is. And then from there, if you have any questions, we're going to keep this page up even after this program. You can go to our program page, ck12.org certified 2017, and access our videos and all of our resources there. So I think with that, we are going to say thank you for joining us. We'll stay on and see if there's any last questions you have for us, and we'll go from there. And I know it looked like, let's see if Laura's still on today, or she might have had to run off. I think she had to duck out as well as Tracy, but if you guys have questions for them, feel free to email us and we'll try to pass those along and get those answered. And in terms of like the Q&A and the different pieces in this program, we're going to compile all of the Q&A from the program and post that as a resource on that program page. So we'll work on getting that put together once we're done kind of with these webinars this week. So yeah, if you have more questions or you're looking for kind of information on the different pieces and what we offer, then feel free to email us and we can pass that information along. Maybe we'll even kind of add their email addresses if you have a specific question. So just email us directly for that. So right now we're out of questions. We'll give you maybe another little bit to post any last ones. And the forum and the cafe, our CK-12 cafe is the forum for CK-12. That's where you can have discussions. So definitely keep using that forum and kind of go from there and continue this discussion. So I think we may be out of questions and out of this program for the summer. Brian and Milt, thanks for staying on to answer those. And thanks for joining us today, as well as Tracy and Laura. If you guys who are here today have questions in the future, just email us and we will follow up from there. Thanks again.